treat for you tonight now. Our parting shots provided by photographer Jimmy Nelson. He has travelled all over the globe documenting remote tribes. In just 3 years, he has visited 35 tribes, spending between 1 and 3 months with each, trying to capture who they are and where they are before time in the modern world changes them forever. Well, I met Jimmy. He's the most remarkable man, and he told me why he is so intent on documenting these tribes before they pass away. Have a listen to this.
Age of 16, I lost my hair one night as I was given the wrong antibiotics. I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I'd changed. And subsequently, everybody started treating me differently. And I went to Tibet for 1 year in 1986 on the sole mission of mixing with other people I once saw in Tintin in Tibet, other people with no hair. That started me on this journey of ethnicity, of culture. Who am I? Who are you? And still today, photography is not the basis of it, but it's the catalyst of making relationships and making contact.
So what have you found?
I ended up finding much more than I'd ever anticipated.
We eventually ended up in the landscape around Mount Yasur. You have in the distance this cone of the volcano. You hear this quiet rumbling. The landscape's very serene.
The Yakel, extraordinarily beautiful people, and they live on one of the 83 islands of the Vanuatu archipelago in the south. It's an island called Tanna, and it's the mountain, Mount Yasur, and it's one of the few mountain volcanoes in the world that's accessible. The main objective is to show these extraordinarily beautiful, natural people in this fantastic environment and try and encapsulate that in one image. And that's with a lot of the imagery throughout the project. A lot of it's staged. It's very romantic, it's very idealistic, but it's trying to bring the power of the people with the power of the nature into one image.
You use some very old equipment, a 50-year-old camera, for example, when you took these photos.
I found by using digital photography, the process is too quick. You disassociate yourself from the person by going back in time, by putting this old camera made out of some bits which are 50 years old. We found a way of connecting by going into this technology. They're standing there, and I've taught them to breathe, and they're standing strong. It's very special.
Who is this character in Papua New Guinea?
Their characters, they're called the Huli Warriors. 4 years ago, James Cameron made this magnificent film called Avatar. There are people who live like Avatar in that environment still on the planet today, and these are the Huli Wigmen.
What about this shot in Kazakhstan?
It's an extraordinary landscape, the Altai Mountains. They're beautiful people. They're like Hollywood heroes. They have these eagles that it's a 5-meter wingspans. In my stupidity, in my childish sort of abandon, I take off my gloves and I put my fingers on the camera, and they stick to the lens because it's on a metal plate. They freeze to it. I'm stuck. I don't think about it. I take my hands off and I leave the skin behind. They start bleeding, they start freezing, and subsequently, I have to be honest, I start crying. And by default, I turned around, and 2 of the ladies had followed us up the mountain, and one of them beckoned me over. When she opened her jacket, she grabbed my hand and put them on her breasts. Not literally on her breasts, but on her armpits. Another one came behind me, she opened her jacket, and they hugged me, and they rocked me like a child. Eventually, I regained some feeling. They were still standing there in that minus 30 degrees centigrade, and I made the picture.
As we look at this shot from Kenya, explain to me what you hope to gain from this project.
They're these fantastic men. They're these vain men. They're tall, they're thin. They literally spend half the day walking around looking in this little mirror. They're grooming themselves, playing with stroking themselves, in many ways, often stroking one another. And we were with them for a couple of weeks travelling through the mountain range. And then at the end, there was a big camel that came up to us, covered in scars and bits. And we're going, what happened here? And the somebody said, oh, yeah, they often get attacked by lions. Well, how do you deal with it? Oh, we just go after it and we catch it and we kill it. So you, in your skirts and in your beads in your hair and your thin body, standing around all day in your vanity, often run after lions and go and kill them. Yes, as a matter of fact.
When we talk about these tribes being, to our minds at least, so foreign, How far removed from us are they?
They're not.
We came to the end of what I regard as the shoot. They don't perceive it as that. And we were making our goodbyes. And the chief of the Yakel came up to me and he hugged me and he kissed me.
Thank you.
It really felt as if we'd bonded. We'd made a connection. We'd survived the volcano. And I hope, maybe I'm naive, but I hope they really understood what I was trying to achieve.